Hello, this is Flair, and today we're doing the first week of Pokemon of the Week. And this week we're gonna talk about the Pokemon Hippopotas. Um, this Pokemon is quite interesting, I think, as one of the only Trick Room setters. No, not Trick Room setter, weather setters, but it's also the slowest of the weather setters, which means on lead that it can guarantee its own weather. Sadly, it doesn't really matter in a format where manual weather is the best weather, that being rain. Um, yeah, so today we're gonna talk a little about hippos, according to me, best sets, along with some Pokemon you could run alongside it to make sure that it can pull in its own wave on the team. So the first set we have here is a quite bulky support Hippopotas, um, having high horsepower for damage. Yawn, um, of course, a very good tool, disrupting your opponent. Getting Yawn off the turn they Dynamax can be game changing, as they have to either switch out their max Pokemon turn 2 or leave it in turn 2 and let it go to sleep, which is never good. You can really control the battlefield with Hippopotas, and with the Eviolite, it can really stick on the field for a long time, allowing you to get good value of it. You also have Slack Off, if you wanna try sitting there and just be annoying. It can of course be focused down, but with some proper EV investments and the Eviolite, I think it has a very solid niche. And of course protect, just to stall some turns. The next set can also run Eviolite, I think, um, as well as this previous set also being able to run Citrus Berry. This variant is a bit more offensive, running high horsepower, crunch, slack off, and curse. So the idea of this Hippopotas is that while something else threatens the target, you sit there and set up curses and slack off and start doing major damage after a while, starting to get unkillable if you manage to remove all of their special attackers, which could be very deadly in the end game. This Hippopotas is one of the better sets, I'd say, even though Yawn gives great utility. This is probably one of the better sets. I could even see it having Yawn instead of Crunch and going for a kind of mix, support and setup endgame sweeper. The last set I want to talk about is a bulky assault vest set with pretty good offense. What this set lacks though is the recovery and the bulk of the previous two sets, but it really makes up in coverage and just direct offense. This thing has a pretty decent defensive move pool. It can even run stuff like Weather Ball to great success, I'd say. So, what do we want to pair this Pokemon with? I think one of the more like obvious ways of running it is next to a Drillbur, or maybe even Sandshrew, although it being a way weaker Pokemon. Both are very quite interesting, although Sandshrew has some good coverage, which Drillbur doesn't. So, the weakness of this core is of course the double ground type. which makes you very susceptible to common meta threats such as Porygon with Ice Beam, the various water types, and Tangela. And it isn't even after Sandrush boost, Drillbur isn't really super fast, although it can ignore some interesting speed control options, such as Electroweb from Elekid, which could make it a decent option, but right now I don't think it's good in this rain meta. Although, if we see a rise of Sun with Ponyta specifically, maybe Drillbur could see an appearance, but I think Rain is just in a better position here. And that's what we're gonna talk about next. We're gonna talk about Hippopotas as a part of a Rain team. Hippopotas can be run in any way on these teams, I think. Either the bulky support, bulky setup sweeper, or the bulky attacker. Although I like bulky setup sweeper on this team specifically. Next to an Anorith, you can make Anorith really bulky due to Rock's property of getting a 50% bonus to special defense when in Sandstorm, which Hippopotas sets up in switching. This would allow you to just ignore running an Assault Vest to get increased special defense still, or run an Eviolite set, one of my favorites, to get an immense special defense after the total 225% bonus to special defense. That's a massive special defense stat, and especially if you run Max Quake on your Anorith, you could shake off any special attack, which pairs up very well with Hippopotas, as one walls physical attackers really well after some curses, and one walls special attackers. Of course, we want Riolu as a common partner to Anorith, but this could actually pair up very nicely with Hippopotas, speeding up its progress, setting up curses, or rather stat boosts. This team would also really like a water type, of course, and one of my favorite Pokemon in this format is Frillish, and specifically for this core, I think Frillish has a really good spot at this, as it can set up Trick Room for cursing Hippopotas. I could also see running the classic Wailmer along with something like a Porygon for setting Trick Room for your Hippopotas. And all of a sudden you have a pretty solid team, and with Hippopotas covering some very interesting Pokemon, such as rock types that people often run to counter Anorith. So, any other interesting Hippopotas sets? I think I've covered most of them, and I hope you enjoyed this little overview of Hippopotas, one of the more niche weather setters in DPEC. That's all for now. I'll see you next week.